Good evening, good afternoon, and good morning. I'm FrozenMelon, and today we're back doing some more UnderMine 2. I am not feeling very great at the moment, so I'm trying to get a bulk upload of just a bunch of stuff that I can deal with. Let's take the grappling hook, why not? We'll finally get it. And we'll finally pick it up. It's been there for ages. And we'll take it. But yeah, I'm trying to get a bunch of recording up just so I have it ready for you guys, because I have a feeling that I will be out of commission for a time, because I'm just not really feeling great, and normally that kind of coincides. I already had a bit of a headache and stuff, so that wasn't great, and then, yeah. But it's fine. I'm slowly getting worse, but I'm going to do some recording, and we're going to do a fun build today. A fun build I want to do is a pure strength build with the miner. Okay, we want to get that, and the key maybe as well. Okay, and maybe that's stone. So the things you want to get are luck, which will help me get more blessings. There is also strength we want as part of the build. And any strength perks as well that go alongside that. So those are the plans. Will we get them all? Who knows, but we're going to attempt it. We are going to attempt it. But yeah. Don't like that rat. The rat can stay away. And we'll go pick that up. I'll take damage for it, it's fine. I feel lazy. Didn't feel like jumping. But yeah. Lowers the blessings of the multiple altars. Let's take luck then for that. I already got strength on the board, so getting luck on there as well be cool, because I want like really one big hit swing where I like crit them with like a massive strength total. And we're going to roll a lot of stuff to try and get that to work. That is the plan. That is what I would like to do. We'll see how it goes though. Maybe we'll get it to work, maybe we won't. It's going to be interesting. But yeah, I am not feeling 100%, so forgive me if my ramblings are a little bit more off kilter than they normally are. Because I'm going to struggle trying to keep a straight thought as I play through this, really, more than anything else. Not thinking of straight thoughts and all that jazz, why don't we actually make use of that thought in my head, right? So, recently I've been playing a lot of different games and stuff, like in my free time, to kind of just relax to, as I'm not feeling very well. Although I don't really get to play them very much and stuff, just because of headachy stuff and things. And one thing I've kind of come to realize is, okay, that was not great for you. Okay, I didn't hit that, but it doesn't matter. Is that I think that there's a mechanic in a lot of games, especially open world games with story and stuff, that is kind of irrelevant. Duplicating gold. I think that's worth it. Like with the luck and stuff, we could have some really good gold to get lots from shops. And we know there's not anything in that room anyway, because we already used it, so we don't have any bombs either, so... yeah. Now what was in the shop we wanted? I remember there's something in the shop. Yes. Okay, we're gonna get that. And I think I'm gonna lock that down in stasis. Because I have a feeling that I may need to do something to make sure that I can get rid of curses. I have this feeling that it's going to be very annoying to deal with otherwise. But anyway, Yes, there's a mechanic that I think it's just like ingrained into so many different games at the moment that doesn't really give any benefit when it's put in there. I don't think the mechanic is bad. Ooh, that's a pretty bad phobia, but the reach is what I want, so take the reach so I can hit them further away. And I'll let you guys have a guess at what that mechanic is. Think open world games and kind of have a thought in your mind of like, oh, okay, so he's moaning about open world games, the mechanic that he's got in there, what is it? And I guess it kind of links to other mechanics in itself, but it's a thing that kind of involves you progressing and getting stronger. And it's something that I kind of like, when you like really start looking at them and stuff like that, like the mechanics itself in certain games, although they may seem like it, they're not actually part of the same. Ooh. That does allow me to cook food. Doesn't really help me, but it does help cook food, so I'll take it. I just have a feeling I'm going to need to have lots of food anyway. Yeah, anyway, as I was saying, you probably all put your guesses in, and that mechanic is skill trees. I am not a fan of skill trees. At least recently, right? And I'll kind of explain why, because you're saying, you're not a fan of skill trees? Why are you not a fan of skill trees? What does skill trees ever done to you? And I'll be like, oh... Skill trees, I believe, in single-player games are ineffective and pointless, right? Because it either is for the player, or it is also from the developer's side, right? Like, generally it works against both of the player, like both of those, which is kind of like the point that I'm arguing over. That should go out at some point. Okay. 2 random potions. Let's see what they are. Stakes and temporary ingenuity. We'll take the temporary ingenuity now because I don't really care. The charisma and the recklessness. We'll leave that as I got the potion going. We go to the shop. So, what I am moaning about. We'll buy that as well. I forgot I bought this, so I should be aware that I had this, you know. What I am moaning about is whenever you try to do something with a skill tree, basically every part of the aspect of it is just like, it's a negative impact both to the player and also to the developer in its own way. Because either you end up impacting stuff in a negative fashion, or you end up not doing the thing that you want the skill tree to do. Now, this is only in single-player games, MMOs and stuff, and multiplayer games and things like that. I think skill trees are absolutely fine, and I think there's no issue in the sense of how they function and how you do that, because the genericness of a skill tree has to be effective there, just because of how it all works, right? Let's just take away a curse while we can. I can't do anything with that. I probably could jump that. Maybe I can. Who knows? Let's get rid of the curse. Actually, no, I got the hat, so I should go and get some healing from pathfinding. Gotta remember that. Gotta remember that. You never know. Sometimes you do get some free stuff from here. Is there anything I want from the forge? Armor point increases strength. That's 7, 6, 7, 6. That's really good, actually. I would like that ring. I need 4 more. I can do 4 more. Smelt one key. And 1, 2. Keep one of those. Scrap that ring. Oh yeah, the achievement's been activated now for an update. Gotta remember that. So, the reason I kind of like moan at them is, so we start off with like a very story-driven game, which is very linear because that's how a story-driven game should be designed, really, when you're going back forward. There is some like variation, but there's a main quest essentially to go on, which is you progress through these points with a bunch of ooh. I don't know if I faced him yet. But that's kind of cool. I was gonna say, that thing chased me down. Cook the food for extra healing. So anyway, as I was saying, yeah, it's kind of a detriment to both players and developers, and we'll go through why. So I've got a story-driven game, and we're looking to set everything up. I want the player to have a feeling of how they get their progression, right? Keep going for reach. Increase strength. We'll do all the damage, and we'll go this way. So we set a system by the player will gain experience, at which point they want to be able to spend that experience as they get stronger, where they increase health, mana, all that usual good stuff that you normally expect with any sort of experience gaining and things, as well as, and also, I'm going to give them a skill point to put in a skill tree, which we will design as we're going through it. Now there are two things that I want to kind of like nitpick over it. Dropping a blessing actually is pretty good, I might pick that up. So, as I try and design both the skill tree and the game, I've got to take both into account as I'm playing it, right? Because if I don't, what ends up happening is I end up giving an ability that breaks a scenario if the player can get there. So, in which case, I either got to limit their ability to get the skill, or get experience to get the skill, which doesn't come off very nice. Or the other situation is... Actually, I kind of want that, because that's actually pretty good healing. I mean, it's pretty good healing. Oh, and the key. Let's go here. I can't really do much in this room, although I would like to. I had that feeling he was going to do that. Which can be a very tough ordeal, right? And that's hilarious. So you kind of design around a lot of the encounters and stuff around, like, doing a certain thing, which means then you either got to make the abilities in the skill tree very generic, which isn't very fun, just straight up, because who wants generic abilities that do stuff that you don't really care about? Let's transmute these. What do we get? Ooh! The golden axe. Spending gold increases strength. That sounds delightful. My build. I like this idea. And we're already getting more and more gold anyway, so I can get other ways to get gold. So that'd be pretty cool. That'd be pretty cool. In that case, we want to go... Oh, do we go alacrity here? No, I think we go HP, I think. Just so we have HP in the pool. Well, alacrity is also hard to get, so... having it now would be kind of nice. Increasing my swing speed. You know, maybe we'll have some sort of weird funness where I can just, like, really rapidly hit. The option is there. And we'll go into this room, just double check what's in here first. See if there's any, like, other keys or stuff we can get. Nope. Back to there to pick this thing up then. Goodbye, curse. Go this way. So yeah, I would say that you end up then designing like either bad encounters because of you have to limit what you can do, or you design really good encounters and give really generic sort of abilities alongside it, which then doesn't help anyone in any way, shape or form. Take a key doubler, you're coming with me. And we're going to take the blessing potion. What's that? Transmute one of my relics, don't care. We spent gold, that's all that matters, and healing. More healing. I'll take charisma here, actually. We want to spend gold, so getting some charisma might be useful. Oh yeah, and the other thing I wanted, didn't we say? It's in here, for that healing thing. I'm taking it. I got 8 strength from spending my gold, so maybe we'll get more. And maybe we'll get the cool thing that, like, blocks damage. That'd be pretty cool. But yeah. Now, say you do kind of, like, get good balances, and I said there's some really good examples of, like, what people will say, like, yeah, but this is, like, a really good skill tree. And I'll be like, yeah, but is it really a good is it actually a skill tree? And I think a lot of people probably bring up things like, Skyrim is a pretty good example of that. Ingenuity, how many bombs I'm carrying. That's kind of cool. And Skyrim isn't really a skill tree. It has a skill tree in it, but it's not. It's a proficiency thing. Yeah? You know, you gain experience in a very specific set of skills that allow you to do better with those skills. And then you get perk points to kind of augment or add bonuses to those specific skills that you end up selecting. It's not a skill tree, at least not, like, first and foremost. It has the skill tree elements that we'd all expect, but yeah. It is not a skill tree in my opinion. You know. Again, you know, hot take on that, but I just don't think it is. So that when you're out looking at all this cool stuff and things, like, you end up making a decision kind of based around, like, either what the player is capable of doing, or limiting the entirety of the skill tree to be very generic, at which point, why not just, like, do it normally, right? And I want to kind of bring up an example of what I'm talking about. So, a good example is the Dying Light games, right? The first one is, well, the first and technically the second one as well. They both work off a proficiency kind of skill tree set, but they're kind of very more skill tree orientated than just that, right? because not everything is different within that skill tree, they're all very generic and stuff. So you either have two options. It's the parkour or the combat, right? Those are your two options. Nothing else between them both. I don't like that that thing. I'll get rid of it. Launches... Spark from bombs is fine. Give me the health. So both of them are very, very generic with like what skills you get. There are some that give you abilities and things, and the problem I have with that is you have to essentially build combat encounters around those abilities, knowing the player can get them, which is fine, but it does mean that the difficulty is higher earlier and then gets easier as you go along, which, to be honest, is absolutely fine, right? There's nothing wrong with that as a mechanic, because in theory you should get better at the game as the game goes on, but it creates this point of where you have to create more difficulty in other areas just to be able to compensate for that decision that you're making, right? Ooh, the branch. Or I think we take the ring, because the ring has some really good fusions, so the ring is the choice. And have we done the whole floor? We have done the whole floor. Let's do the boss. Let's go. Just double check there's something else in this shop I want, or want to freeze. I might want to freeze the whip, actually. Yeah. Let's put that down. And, like, then you go into the third game, which is the new one. So we can argue about this quite nicely, in my opinion. The third one is very generic. So you no longer get experience for parkour skills now, right? For the whole running, jumping, and all that stuff. You only get experience now from missions and removing enemies from the map, we'll say. Which is fine. But it does leave a not so kind of like very linear progression on just like the abilities that you can get and when you can get them, because now everything just gets rolled to the same boat. Which again is not a bad thing. Like, it simplifies the process and means there's a better expectation on what the players are going to have at particular points, right? But doesn't stop them from having everything like before the first mission or something. Unfortunately, just want to point that out. Now, to counteract this kind of issue in the first games, they put like story perks, so you could only there we go. You could only get those perks if you got a certain point in the story, at which point then it unlocks like the rest of the skill tree or something like that, or you had to pick a certain level before you could buy particular perks and stuff, which is basically, in my opinion, an artificial limitation, because at that point, then if you want to kind of stop players from buying all the overpowered perks earlier, why not just change the tune, get rid of the dex, get more strength? Yeah. More strength. I mean, I could go with the alacrity, to be honest. It's more rarer, but I'm like, I want strength. What are we strength-wise? Where are we at? 52. I think, like, there are runs I get, like, way more strength than that in other areas, but we have not got those items yet. We might do, and then we'll just break the game from there. Yeah, because, like, you're so kind of, focused on limiting players in that way, right? I feel like you don't really get much in the way of like how you can interact with stuff, and like all the cool stuff that the player can do later on becomes not really a downside in my opinion anymore, right? We'll sacrifice that to get rid of that. Maybe we'll see it again. Reduce max health is fine. So we can just take health there. Counters it immediately. Yeah. I would say I'm probably, like, am nitpicking a little bit on the game, because it's one of the most ones I'm playing recently. Yeah, so I could get this, which increased my intelligence by a lot. Oh, I should do like the altar room thing. I think there's a strength ring, though, I could get, which I'd rather have that, in my opinion. Well, there's the dex one as well, but yeah. So yeah, you can have like really cool stuff, but then it's like you kind of go like balance combat and counters around that ability, and we know how good the drop kick was from Dying Light 1, so the moment you got that ability, you trivialize a lot of the rooftop encounters and stuff, because you could just say, nah mate, goodbye. Ouch. Do I think that's a bad thing? No, not necessarily. I don't think there's necessarily a bad thing about it. It kind of means that, you know, the games designer's got to kind of really take that into account a lot when you're creating the encounters for players to have fun with, which sometimes causes some unbalancedness, shall we say. Pick that up. Golden Idol, delightful. That'll help that out. Do you have a lot of gold still? I forget what the Golden Idol does. Let's have a look at it again. Increase your Pathfind. Often adds an additional secret or hidden treasure rune to the floor. Recover health and mana when you Pathfind. Cool. Now, how would you say would improve that system overall? Like the issue that we have with it, in theory, is the fact that, well, we'll continue on with the issue I have with like the beast one. So you got the generic XP, which you can just get a skill point in. Then you have what's like classed as the decision-making process, which I really couldn't fathom of why this was implemented in this particular way, because it just seems kind of redundant in the way that it was implemented. I'm not saying like it's a bad decision, more just the fact that I can't quite figure out the logic behind it of why you went this way, because it kind of seems like we went this way because we already had a skill tree, so we thought we might as well do it this way anyway, kind of thing, right? And I feel like that was just kind of like, it's not really a good decision. Let's just say that much. I'm not saying it ruins the game or anything, it just seems kind of like, it's kind of the same logic as like this game removing you taking the gold back to the hub. Although I can understand why they've done that now, right? Like, I do understand why they've done it. You know? But it doesn't mean the fact that I think the decision is correct, per se. But yeah, so essentially within the beast, bit of spoilers if you don't really want to know this, but it's only really a mechanic that comes out quite early. You have the ability to essentially extract essentially special gene types from specific of the zombies or the infected you have around. So that's like one part of the mechanic that exists that you can do, right? Which then when Crane injects himself with, Kyle, he gets a perk point in a very specific part of his skill tree that is essentially isolated from everything else. Now, my issue I have with that is, essentially what you're saying is we have to defeat very particular enemies that are highly specialized in a particular area to get their DNA or get the thing that makes them that way, to then take it and inject ourselves with it to make us that way as well, right? At least that's like the logic. So it's this idea of the whole Mega Man thing, right? You defeat the boss to gain their power to then be used at your leisure as such. We don't really care about any of these, to be honest. So yeah, I'm gonna move on. We're just gonna use this to give my health back. So, why give me the perk point to put into a skill that essentially is kind of like an ability of the monster that I'm destroying? Why not just give me the ability when I defeat them and I inject myself with the whole thing in the first place, right? It seems like we created a middleman for no reason, and I don't really know why. And we'll blow that up. Ooh. And we'll use this again. Just get rid of it. No idea what the curse was, but we're not going to mess around with it. So yeah, I kind of was like, like, is it even worth it, kind of thing, you know, to essentially basically have that middleman. And I'm like, no, it's not. They don't quite get it, which means that because the perk system means that you have to kind of put these essentially what would be generic enemies in the way. To kind of give the reason for them to exist. But then they're highly specialized, so don't really see them until later. Cooks all nearby food, that's actually pretty good, though. I do want that. I will take it. I mean, there's also I want this as well, but cooking the food is really good to help me heal. I mean, I did have my own things. I forget to do it, though, so... I know, I had the ability to cook the food anyway. This just saves me time. It also gives me strength, so there is that. Double my keys again, go over here, what do we get? Increased strength, we'll take it. And I will instantly just get rid of the curse. I am never cursed. But yeah, so then I'm sort of just kind of like, twiddling my thumbs on it of like, okay, so let's just say for hypothetical sake. Increase intelligence. I don't really care about that, to be honest. Let's roll these then. Ah, there it is. Now I got 130. Proportional to my missing health, folks. Much teleport are there? So, as I'm kind of arguing on the whole idea of, like, why I'm arguing over all this stuff. yeah, it just feels like that particular mechanic could have just been stuff just rolled up into something else, right? Like, it could have been a whole story beat. You could have made it really important for the character to kind of have to defeat these enemies. You could make them really good set pieces, which they did. Like, I'm not denying that. Some of them are really cool. I like the idea of them. Man, they really... Like, once I get hits on them, I can do fine, but getting those hits, though... Boom. I forget I also counterattack, so we're gonna like one-shot certain bosses. Let's do this. Keep increasing strength. And we get the same thing back we had before. I don't care about that. So how would we improve it? So, okay, we've got specialized monsters, so let's really hyper-specialize them in the abilities we want the skill tree to have, right? So they basically revolve around that mechanic, like, to a point that is kind of, like, hilarious. And the reason I say this is because, like, one of the first ones you face is meant to have this, like, increased regeneration and stuff, and, like, about my health doesn't regenerate, so, like, it would defeat the whole point of how the game is played if your health did regenerate, so I'm kind of confused. Like, is my health meant to regenerate? Is it not meant to? Like, you say you're meant to make me stronger, but I don't quite get it. So, yeah. My brain doesn't quite fathom it in the way that I want it to. Hello, guys. Let's kill off the mage first. And then the other guy. Oh, and you got ruined. And there we go. Melee is king. So yeah, it doesn't really kind of like help a lot of the scenarios, in my opinion, right? Gonna tune, get rid of that, get more strength. Actually, no, get more reach now. I think we're at that point where we can start focusing on reach a little bit. Do I get rid of charisma for that sake then as well? No, we'll keep the charisma around. It's still helping out. And luck is still there if we ever need it. So, yeah, you're kind of like, so you hyper-specialize the monsters you're meant to defeat, you get the abilities when you need to get the abilities, so you can set a very planned storyline, which you've already got set up anyway as part of the game's progression, which is like literally what you spent doing. So you don't need to waste around with the person going over and holding A to insert the ability into a place, you know? More strength? More strength. No, more reach. Ooh, more reach though. But more strength. I mean, I'm not going to get much reach anyway, so let's get more reach. And we'll remove that immediately. And the other one. Because I can actually lower my health to get more strength back. So what we can do is we can kind of like hyper-specialize now the enemies to allow us to essentially do the thing that we were going to do anyway, just without the need of having to like press an A button anyway. And then we can also specialize the monsters a little bit more if we wanted to, which we don't have to, but we can, to kind of like reflect the perk they're about to give. And we can also make, say, my favourite bit, which is about stuff like this, is because we know it's going to be a mechanic of you having to go and collect them. You don't know which one you're going to get, but you're going to kind of focus around that anyway. What you can also do is allow for hidden ones, so ones that you don't get as part of the main storyline, which is something that I kind of get really frustrated with when it's implemented into a perk tree as a gating mechanic, you know, to stop you from doing something they don't want you to do. Yeah, you guys really shouldn't hit me like that. What a good idea. Ooh, stole my key. Someone's 2 skeletons. Interesting. Literally just a bucket of bones. Skulls into crimson skulls. Interesting. Actually, that is actually a pretty good pickup. I will pick that up. I will pick that up. We're at 32 strength from the axe at the moment. I removed curses anyway. I don't need to worry about that. We'll remove this one. So yeah, it's kind of like I'm nitpicking over it, but I feel like it, you know, has an importance. I was like, what's going to happen here? The moment it went off, I was like, oh no. But yeah. So, you don't really gate the player. They don't know what abilities they're going to get, which makes it more exciting. And then they get stuff like, oh, cool, now I can do this, rather than, okay, so I need to get this, and this, and this, and this, you know. Makes stuff more interactive in the sense of like, okay, so I can plan around getting these things. Right? I will drop off this just to do 15 damage to myself and get the chest. Run a potion I don't need, but we'll take it. It fell off. Don't lose now, I got a good run on my hands. I might go and buy some food. I might go buy some food. Be a pretty good idea too, and maybe the potion. There we go. Healed up a little bit. So, we've kind of made stuff more attractive, and you can still keep the rest of the skill tree, like I'm not denying that, because I know how the game functions. It's come out and one-shot them. You know, it's going to be the same regardless of whatever you try, so why not leave it as it is? But I do think, like, we've kind of invested in the game enough to sit there and be like, yeah, this is kind of how I would prefer to have stuff happen, as, you know, as such. Ooh, cool, gold. Now, do I think this kind of like negatively impacts the game overall? No, I don't think it does. Like, I don't think the change really does much anyway. Increased strength, demon ring. There we go. Ring of power, that's what we wanted. So now, the ring of power multiplies my strength by 140%. So I have 229 strength. Man, if I get the item that just negates damage below a threshold, then I think we're laughing at that point. Ooh. More strength. Then we can turn all these dex ones into other benefits. But yeah. Do I think, like, all these, like, the skill tree stuff ruins every game? No, I don't think it ruins it, but I feel like it's kind of inoptimal and doesn't really give much impact, because what's happening is you either have a game that you design the whole skill tree around the game, meaning that you get very generic buffs that don't impact stuff as much as, like, it could do, and it doesn't really change the game or change the playstyle or give really cool abilities, or you do allow it to give really cool abilities, which means that you have to make everything very planned around. So like you got to assume that your player can do the end game stuff at the beginning of the game. Like that's kind of like an overstatement, really, saying it like that. But in essence, like they could be capable of doing it, and that's the thing you got to kind of like plan around. And I would say that's the bit where I'm kind of like, oh, okay, so if I just grind for 4 days straight, I could probably get all the abilities that I really want. Yeah. And then we'll just lose that immediately. Do I think it works to the detriment to the game? Not really, but like I feel like I'm nitpicking because it's a thing that's kind of just come up and frustrated me of like, oh, I get to find out all the abilities I could ever get, and then I'm like, okay. And then the thing is, then like I'm wondering like why are some abilities gated behind this mechanic when other ones aren't? And so I'm like, okay, there's nothing then that really surprises me of what could say change my playstyle in the game. Which is the other bit that I'm kind of a little bit disappointed by. Doesn't mean there isn't later and there's more interesting things and it could be like a really cool story. Like, you know, there's all that kind of bonuses, but like game mechanic wise and stuff like that, like everything's very upfront. There's no mystery behind it. Like, I think not knowing the abilities of that you could get from the specialized monsters would have been far more interesting. Because it would mean that you'd kind of like not know what you could get, which may affect other decisions and what you're going to do and stuff. And like, if decisions are the name of the game here, that's just me like nitpicking again, but still. Like that's what I'm going to do, right? I'm going to try and play around the things I think I can get. This does give a random buff if I blow it up, so... Oh. Oh, we're just getting rid of that immediately, I don't care. Thank you very much. Yeah, I forget I can fire projectiles back, so I'm not really worried about those either. Now, although I'm moaning about it, like what else would I change, like, on a system like that? My other one I probably would change and, like, moan about as such is I probably need to change it to like a more proficiency thing. So go back to the classics and kind of do stuff like that. So we want to focus on like the combat side of stuff and things. So why not do proficiency with all the weapons and things, you know? So the more you use the certain types of weapons you're doing, like the one-handed, two-handed, blades, blunt, that sort of stuff. Like, you get proficiencies within those areas, which allow you to be more efficient with them and, say, do more damage or stuff like that. Let's just keep increasing my reach, why not? We got that way to go. This item room is still somewhere around. I love I keep sacrificing that just to, mainly just to keep my buff up on my, health-wise, really. I need curses to be able to make sure I take, you know, remove them. And then that way you can get, like, perks that are more specialized into those things, like, you know, allowing you to reload while running, or, you know, slowing down time for very specific shots, or, you know, all those sort of cool things that sound interesting. Increased duration of ignite effects. Ignites another enemy if you defeat an enemy with fire damage on. That's kind of cool, actually. Works really well with the build I have, but I'm kind of like wanting something better, I guess. But I'll take it. Don't really want to reroll, so... So they burn for longer. Anything wanted here? I could take the tent, but I'm like, do I really care? Not really. Mana we don't worry about. Creates a friendly, invulnerable double gang of each enemy in the room. Won't work against the boss, though, is the question. Now, let's face the boss. We can ignite the torches, so we should be all A-okay on that front. But then you can kind of like, you know, it means that people's playstyle will kind of get better over time, and then if they want to change their playstyle, yes, it is a bit punishing to begin with, but you can just increase the amount of experience they gain with, like, defeating higher level enemies. Use down. Melee-wise. Do I think the system is, like, any better overall? I mean, I think it's slightly better in just the sense of, like, it allows the player's playstyle to kind of be more interactive with the thing, and then you can still do the parkour stuff, which I think is absolutely fine, and make that like its own parkour skill tree. So you take the combat side of it and isolate it out to a proficiency thing, and then you create a parkour skill tree that essentially focuses on the other aspect of it, right? Man, my reach is hilarious. Goodbye ingenuity. Bit more strength. More reach. And then goodbye the dex. And more reach. I'm going to take up entire rooms. That's the plan. Are there any things I don't really care about anymore? We can fuse the salamander, I think. So I don't need it anymore, really, for damage-wise. And if we're getting rid of that, we could get rid of the smouldering coal. And we'll get that because it duplicates items, which will fuse to give me... Will they not fuse? I thought they fused. Interesting. Guess they don't in this one. But yeah, duplicating items is so much better. We just don't need the fire anymore because the cook stuff is done and we faced that boss, so we can get rid of both. If we can get one more item in particular, I'm going to be really happy. You think you're safe over those rocks? So yeah, I'm kind of I've been thinking a lot about it. So just because it's been something that's been popping up in my mind quite a lot, and I'm kind of like, yeah, but like, is it any better? And I'm like, not really. Temporary increased strength, lose armor, caliber and pierce. Don't really care about any of these, so we're gonna reroll. More reach. What is my reach? My reach is 28 with 254 attack damage. Ooh. Oh yeah, the keys will duplicate themselves. I got infinite keys now at this point. More strength? Yeah, more strength there. And I don't want to be ruined by mechs, so goodbye. Man, could you imagine if you were getting more blessings with removing these curses? That'd be kind of cool. But yeah, I definitely would say that the idea of the skill tree itself is kind of a bit redundant in some areas. Right. And then all I've done then is I've reduced the parkour skill tree into essentially what is similar to Skyrim. Right. You know, give you the generic buffs that you're used to as everything else, of like being able to sprint faster or getting very certain abilities like the drop kick and you know, the long leap and things like that as well, which are ones that you really kind of want. Increase my reach again? No, that's not increasing the strength. Or luck, actually. Luck could be better. Let's get a bit of luck in here. Well... I will remove it, because I need to remove it, but it locked out my health, which is funny. So, in essence, it wasn't... it was like, wasn't bad, but... it kind of counteracted itself a little bit. I would like that. I would like that as well, but there's no point really. The tincture could be interesting. But I think, yeah, we just don't need anything from here. Just go to this room as well. I think I one-shot all the common enemies now. Like, there's nothing they can do. And it would be tempted to reroll, but I'm kind of like, there's no point either. But yeah, you just turn it into pretty much like the dex skill tree or something like that, and just have like those abilities go through and have variations. And the other thing is, like, when you unlock an ability and you get progressions to it, have it branch off as a tree. Don't just make it like one long line with like very minimal choices. Like, do what they did in the first one, where it's like you get an ability, then you get like an upgraded version of it. Oh, I can hit away his sword strike. That's interesting. I wonder if he'd teleport to it if we did that. I wonder. Bomb. So where's this one? I don't know why I'm doing this. I think I'm just doing it for the gold more than anything else, but still. But yeah, it's kind of one of those dilemmas that I'm always kind of like I still don't understand why it's still a problem. Like why it's still a thing that we still do is have skill trees in games, where I feel like if the story is important, you've already got a story all set out, so you kind of want to progress stuff in this particular way and not make the character seem like... Actually, here's a good... I forget where I mentioned it, but it's an example where I feel like everyone will know it the moment I say it, right? Yeah, we're not going to bother with that. But it's like when you, like, say you power level grind and then you're into what is classed as a scripted loss. We all know games that do it. There's loads of them that do it, right? But you're given the opportunity to sit there and you get, like, halfway through the game and then suddenly, randomly, you're given a scripted loss because that's what the game has dictated that must happen. Even though, technically speaking, you are, like, super overpowered. Increasing strength there. And then we'll get rid of the thing. So it just kind of feels like I wouldn't lose this fight. Why would I lose this fight? Because you spent ages grinding out everything to, you know, win as such. Even though it was meant to be a scripted loss, which was kind of very bitter towards the end. We should spend all the gold here, shouldn't we? I haven't found the item room yet, so we'll wait about that. I like how I just hit everything from the other side of the room. Ooh, a key. So yeah, it kind of ends up feeling a little bit kind of bitter when stuff like that happens. Especially when it happens on repeat as well. It's just like, why? Vectors of healing. Increase our max health there, why not? Heal up, then we remove that. So I do know that these actually, the healing scales with intelligence. So the more intelligence you have, the more healing you'll have. Which is kind of funny when you think about it. So you can actually gain more heal than you do in the damage you take to remove curses. Come on. That does fuse, doesn't it? No. Yes? No. One more. Those fuse together. Caramel popcorn. That was the one I was thinking of. We'll still get it. Like, it doesn't matter now anyway, but still. Do the final boss fight. Just double check. Can I buy any more healing or something just in case? We can. So we will. So, final stats for this. Strength is 329, although I can lose some to get more. 28 reach. And some alacrity to benefit me. Oh, wrong room. Man, that is hilarious. Oh, we can even spend more. Let's go and spend this then. I'll buy a key. And I got enough to get in the key. So actually, what is my strength? Yeah, 340 now. Let's go. And at lower health, I tend to get more. I think the only thing I would miss is I need the that's the dumbest build I've done in ages. I'm happy. A pure strength build that, you know, is absolutely fun and hilarious. But yeah, I will admit, like, I probably couldn't do it without this item here, multiply strength proportional to your missing health. Without that, this build doesn't really work as well. It's kind of disappointing, although we did get like 67 from this, so it's actually still pretty good. And let's head back. But yeah. I enjoyed that run. That was nice, and I'm probably going to go back to sleep now because I feel absolutely terrible. But yeah, again, you know, thanks for listening to my rambling and stuff. Again, if you do enjoy these videos, do leave a like, subscribe to see more, and I will see you all in the next one. Take care.